Oh yeah, definitely. Like, oh, it works all out. And then the Jewish people, then the Jews, they go and they have a Holocaust against the aliens and just roll the aliens.
And then the aliens are
They
the
have
goyim.
internment camps. Oh man, think of it. It's like District 9, but with Jews.
Uh huh.
And the Jews are in command. Oh crap, we have another beer, and I'm only halfway through with my fifth one.
Son of a
Fuck.
bitch.
All right, I need to catch up. I'm doing
I
terrible.
would say
I'm
I
doing
would say
relay.
overall we're doing much worse than we did. Have we done this 2 weeks in a row? If we have done this 2 weeks in a row, we're doing much worse with the pace of this than we have previously.
What are you talking about? We're doing okay.
Well, we're still
Last time I was,
finishing
well, I mean, you mean like beer drinking or the conversation topics?
both.
Both. Everything about this podcast is much worse than it was last week. Is what
I'll
you're
tell
trying
you
to say,
this:
right?
Jews versus aliens, solid. Whatever I said before that, because I was actually laughing quite a bit before we got into Cowboys versus aliens, solid.
Monks
But
versus aliens. We were talking about monks versus aliens, cowboy versus aliens.
yeah.
I thought that samurai versus aliens might be interesting. Just because it's one of those, there's no fucking way that they could win, but of course Hollywood will make it so that they win some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because they're the what do they call the antagonist and protagonist?
They're
Yeah,
the should never win
they're the
antagonist.
protagonists. Are the protagonists the good guys?
Yes,
No,
antagonists are
yeah,
bad.
protagonists. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look it up, you uneducated anus blickers.
So says the guy that doesn't exactly know which one is which.
I could have worked it
Don't be
out.
uneducated, you fuckers, when I'm like, which one is it again?
There are people that don't that are like they're making up these words. I'm
I don't know,
talking to
man.
you.
I think protagonists and antagonists are pretty common. I'm not so sure that a lot of people, at least the people that we're going and pushing the shit on out to, are like, I have no idea what those words are.
I'll
Sorry,
say at
buddy.
least a third of the audience doesn't know what a protagonist and an antagonist is. We should do like Jay Leno style, where we're like asking people on the street, what's a protagonist and an antagonist? And
What
they're
can you
like,
possibly know?
someone who's a Republican
Well,
versus a Democrat.
if you want to do it
Well,
accurately, you would have to ask
technically,
antagonist first, because generally you always ask protagonist as being the good guy. So if you asked what an antagonist was, and then went to protagonist to see whether or not they flopped it.
if there's a protagonist and an antagonist, is there just a tagonist? Someone who just anything that happens, they're just assaulting. They're just
Yeah,
like verbally like disagreeing with it.
those are generally just the newsboys, the guys that are on the corners handing out newspapers that are just fucking pissing you off. They're the
They're
people that you wouldn't
antagonists.
mind if they got killed throughout the story. You're
They're
hoping,
antagonists.
yeah, they're antagonists. They're
I
tagging
need
some
to
shit.
look that up. I need to look that up.
I haven't ever. I don't know. I've never actually heard of that.
I'm
So,
looking that up.
do you want me to pull something else from my list of craziness, or did you want to go?
I actually thought that I came up with a concept, and I must not be the first one to come up with this. I actually think that you might have come up with this before I did. But what if I'll tie it into bucket list. Is there a way of re-shitting? And what would that constitute?
Re-shitting?
Yes.
Are we talking about physical shit or mental shit?
Physical.
Are we talking about
I
like
like
medical
that I stumped you.
procedures?
You're actually pretty.
There's a lot. Like my mind is going in like 4 or 5 different directions because there's actually the procedure where if someone has the bacteria in their anus to make it so that they can actually protect themselves from external bacteria, that they will actually in the procedure they'll take someone else's fecal matter and they'll transport it and insert it into someone else's anus so that they can actually get that helpful bacteria that your butt creates to repropagate itself. So I'm trying to think if you're talking about something like that, or I'm trying.
Wait. You're telling me that there's a helpful bacteria that your ass creates?
There's a beneficial, positive bacteria in your colon that prevents you from getting diseases in there. That's like how people get butt cancer and colon cancer and shit like that. I call it butt cancer for fun. I know it's called colon cancer, but during procedures, some people will actually have that removed, or if people have some very, very severe diseases, and the only way to actually get it again is putting it on in there. And so sometimes they'll have you know um, essentially fecal matter transplant, where they'll essentially take someone else's fecal matter and transport it into someone else's anus, so that it could actually rebuild that positive bacteria in someone else's butt. You ever heard of that?
No, I loved it. I mean, I feel like you could explain that to any adult and they would be laughing like I am. That is ridiculous.
It's one of those things. I mean, there's tons of bacteria that everyone thinks terrible about it, but there's also like good bacteria in your body too. And there's beneficial, positive bacteria. That's one of the things is in your colon to prevent you from getting diseases and stuff like that. And if that goes away, if it gets killed off, you need that shit in there.
Yeah.
You need some good shit in there.
What if you said that? What if you told a girl, like, she's like, I get sick all the time, and you're like, I almost never get sick. If you go ahead and eat my shit, then you'll re-shit that, and then you'll build up the immunities that I have. Like,
Lance,
you won't get sick as often.
Lance, no, because if you eat the shit, then that goes through your entire system and actually goes and by the time it gets into your actual butt and your colon, it's everything that's actually beneficial and good in there is going to go away. So as sexy as that is, beneficial. So what you really need to
I
do,
would say it's almost exactly like corn. It goes in, there goes out.
well, come on, think of your stomach acid. There, your stomach acid is your stomach acid is powerful enough to actually destroy a penny. Come on, dude. That fucking your shit inside of that girl's stomach is going to go away. All that helpful bacteria is totally just going to explode into a million pieces. There's no way.
First of all,
You're going to digest the shit out of that helpful bacteria.
First of all, I didn't know that. And second of all, that makes me want to eat a penny so that someone will be like, oh, what have you been up to? Destroying a penny.
Well, I mean, it actually has to sit in there longer than what it actually does inside your stomach. But if you just went and I guess if you went and took the actual natural resources out of your stomach and put it into whatever could contain your stomach acid without actually eating it, let's say a beaker of some type, and then put a penny in there, it'll eat it away. Your stomach acid's pretty fucking fierce.
You're telling me to remove my stomach acid, put it in a beaker, and then put a penny in it.
And then give it a couple days, or give it a while, however long it takes, but it'll fucking eat that shit away. I think Coke is also powerful. I think Coke is actually also powerful enough to eat away a penny too. But anyways,
like cocaine?
Not cocaine, like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is also used for all the crazy shit like crime scenes is to get rid of blood. So, when you go onto an accident on the 405 freeway and they're like, oh look, there's a huge giant amount of blood. Let's pour some Coca-Cola on it because that'll make it go away.
Yeah, I use it to get rid of ex-girlfriends.
Well, what you really do is you go and you open up their butthole, and then you go and pour a bunch of Coca-Cola in there, and then it eats away all of her helpful bacteria inside of her anus.
All of her helpful bacteria. I'll say this, all of my ex-girlfriends have zero helpful bacteria.
Well, they're bacteria in and of themselves, if you want to go out that way. Oh, man, I'm still on my 5th beer. I'm doing a terrible job. You're all over the place.
Are we supposed to be on 6? Because I'm on 6.
I'm supposed to be on 6, and I'm doing a terrible job. I keep on talking about helpful anus bacteria, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you should apologize. It's right to apologize.
Hey, I want to point out that it's generally known as like the very last resort of the fecal transplant. So just so you guys know, at least from the studies and what I've read.
I've never even heard of fecal transplant. If I had before, I would think that it was exactly what I thought reshitting was. Which, I mean, okay. I would imagine that the technical term for shitting isn't shitting. It's like, what?
Pooping. The technical
It's
term
not
for
pooping.
shitting is pooping. If you go to a doctor and said, Doctor, I was shitting, he's like, nope, I have to write down you are pooping.
God damn. There's got to be a technical. Okay, whatever the
Excrete. It's
technical
excrete.
term
I
of
believe it's excrete.
waste or
I'm pretty
something,
sure it's
whatever.
excrete. Excrete.
Excrete. Waste. I don't know what it is, but
I
whatever the
like
technical.
pooping. Pooping is way
Whatever
more
that
fun
is.
of a term.
I would think that the definition of that would entail waste leaving your body through your 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 specific anus. And if that were the case, then you could put someone else's shit in there. You could like shove it into your anus. Like that's not going to be a bad idea. And then you're obviously going to push it out or accept it forever. I don't know. I mean, there's only two options, I suppose.
Are you trying to
But
go? Are you thinking of the video of poop back and forth forever or what?
no, but I'm trying to bring the reshitting full circle, which I think is something that maybe someone else in this universe hasn't said before. But 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 but
But
that's apropos. But if you shoved your poop up someone else's butt, then they'd reshit your poop. They'd be reshitting.
right.
Or
Well, I mean, your
you could
colon
feed
can
it to
only
somebody, and then when that comes
feed
back
it
out,
to
they'd
somebody.
they'd
Hold
be
on.
reshitting.
But it's not the same. If you actually digest it, then it's not actually the same thing as reshitting. It's you digesting and then you having your own poop. The only way you can actually reshit is if you went and took like a big, huge, giant, solid dump, and then I don't know, used some elbow grease, and got that baby up on in there.
I would say this: if maybe it has to like go inside of an orifice and be excreted by that orifice, but I would say this: if you ate corn and you excreted a cob of corn again, I would say that you would be recorning. So if someone shat and they fed it to you and some of that shit went into your shit, you'd definitely be reshitting. You'd definitely be reshitting.
So if you're like, let's say, you're out in the desert and there's no resources whatsoever available to you, and then you end up eating your own fecal matter, you'd be like, "Oh man, I just reshitted.
I don't think that
I shit my shit."
I don't think that anybody ever resorts to that, and I'm not sure why that hasn't been explored. Because Waterworld would have us believe that we could drink our own urine.
Well, you can drink your own urine. It's fucking sterile, as well as I think you could drink it up to like, if you drink it, you can drink it once, and then the third time you drink it, it actually becomes so full of just terrible shit that it's actually bad for you. But you can drink your own urine
but
once.
the first and second time, you're solid.
Well, it's more along the lines of it becomes more and more concentrated. So the more concentrated it becomes, the more bad crap is inside of there. Sorry, I've been drinking a little bit, so the more
But there's
bad
ammonia
resources.
in urine. So if you drank ammonia, you would have the same negative effects as drinking urine.
No, but the thing is that generally when you drink ammonia, it's concentrated. When you drink urine, there's like a trace amount of ammonia in there.
A trace amount?
Like you have ammonia, your body excretes ammonia via urine, but it's not like the same thing as just going and drinking like fucking Windex, which has ammonia in it, or some shit like that. It's not like the same thing. You can drink urine and you'll be fine. It's not, preferable, as well as as from what I understand, it doesn't taste all that great. But you can you can definitely just, if you're out somewhere, and you can drink your urine and you'll be okay. But if you continually do it, it becomes to the point where it becomes toxic, because it becomes so concentrated with bad shit in there that it actually becomes like bad for you.
I must
And
know who told you that that it was like not too bad to drink it.
There's tons of studies out there, man.
I've never.
Don't you read shit?
I mean, not literally, and I guess not figuratively. But I've never read a study about drinking your own urine. No. I think the most research I've done on that is watching Waterworld.
That's all you've ever watched is just
Yeah.
Waterworld, huh?
And that's actually the extent of my studies on most things because Nicolas Cage has done most things.
Nicolas Cage was not Waterworld. That was Kevin Costner, dude.
Son of a bitch.
You disappoint me. Beer 6, you disappoint me with your lack of knowledge about Waterworld, and
Aren't they the same person? Bald white guy?
they're both terrible. They're both terrible actors, I'll tell you that.
They both look strangely like Mikey.
Um, Actually, Kevin Costner still has quite a bit of hair. Nicolas Cage has some crazy shit going on up there, though.
You have experience with Kevin Costner's hair?
It's magnificent. And you know what? This door has pissed me off.
I made it for you. I think the more you drink, the more you get pissed off at doors. No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
It's not centered. We have to fix that.
It's not centered. That doesn't even make sense.
What do you mean? It's not centered with everything else that's in this entire pyramid.
You're obsessing over something that there's no way that you can... I need this block replaced. Go.
There we go.
Doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean it doesn't make any sense?
I hope you're happy.
I am happy. Well, like, everything else lines up perfectly with it.
You drink Guinnesses. You should have jumped to the Heineken because when you drink Guinness, you break doors.
It's perfect the way it is right now. Come on, look at it. Look at everything else. Everything else is perfect. It lines up with the waterfall. It lines up with everything, asshole. Stop pretending like it wasn't a great idea.
How did you notice that and then execute that right now?
I'm fucking magic.
You were perfectly sober before, and now you're not perfectly sober, but you'll notice whether a door lines up with your general aesthetic.
Yeah. It's called my head, and it's happening right now. And I'm doing it. And I'm going back over here to my fucking desk, and I'm going to fucking rock it as I drink the last of my Heineken. Well, actually, not even the last. I have maybe a third of it drunk, which is the top of the fucking neck. I have so much more Heineken to drink. Anyways, as we were talking about before, yeah,
nice
Nicolas Cage,
abode
Kevin
here,
Costner,
yeah.
not exactly the same thing.
Or exactly the same thing. Have you ever seen them in the same room at the same time?
I have not. I've never actually been to a party with the both of them, and I'd probably go, what the hell are you doing with your career? Actually, did you hear about the whole thing about Kevin Costner, or not Kevin Costner, but Nicolas Cage, where he left, like, what was it, one of his buddies or one of the guys that he knew that was handling all his money, went and invested it into something, and it actually lost all of its money, which is the reason why he's doing so many terrible movies.
What?
Yeah, like he had $30 million and he thought he was completely fine, and the guy that he went and paid to invest it was investing it into terrible things, as well as I think he was gambling with it, and lost all of his money and then just like left the country.
Okay, word to the not wise. If you have $30 million, tuck $1 million under your mattress and then tuck $1 million under someone else's mattress, but they don't know. And then use the other 28 million to invest into something. And then if it goes belly up, you still have $2 million. I mean, I don't understand how.
Oh, come on, with the lifestyle that he's used to. I'm just saying along the lines, like, can you imagine having as much money as he probably did that he made
the
from all the
lifestyle
various
that you're
things that he
used
had?
to spend $30 million. You'd have to have a helicopter addiction. You'd have to be like, I need a brown helicopter for Thursdays. I need a blue helicopter for Fridays.
Well, I'm saying you're saying about like the $2 million left over. I'm saying along the lines of he went and he invested, or he went and left it to a dude to invest. The dude invested it and lost all his money for him, and then was like, all right, I'm out of here, and then fucked him up. But can you imagine that shit? Can you imagine having so much money, have worked your entire life, made a couple of movies that actually made a shit ton of money, and then all of a sudden be like absolutely broke because some dude you trusted with your money fucked you up? Totally
Yes,
fucked you over.
I actually think that that's something that you'll do in my future. I'm
Most likely it'll be what Canon does because I'm not going to manage your money for you.
I'm fully prepared for the Kevin Costner scenario. Oh, the Nicolas Cage scenario.
Wow, you really have a hard on for Kevin Costner, don't you?
Well, originally I
Have you
mistook
always had a hard on
Nicolas
for Kevin
Cage.
Costner or what?
No, I've always had a hard on for what's that guy who played the president? I guess I don't have
Um,
a hard on for him because I don't even know his name. That guy that has like luxuriously long hair,
um,
almost like a more white Tom Cruise, but he's a
a more white
brunette.
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is pretty fucking white, dude.
But
What are you talking about?
he's a brunette, and he plays like romance stuff
Can
more
you
than anything else.
please provide a fucking name of a movie that he's been in?
Gene Greer,
I don't know.
Greer,
The only Gene I know of is Gene Wilder because he's fucking badass.
Greer. I think it's Greer. I'm going with
Um,
Greer.
Greer?
Richard Greer.
I mean Richard Gere.
Richard Gere.
Richard Greer. Ah, and he's just so handsome to you, isn't he?
He's the most well-known person amongst all the people that I know. Kevin Costner, Nicolas Cage, and Richard Greer.
Richard Greer. You're
They're
just
the
saying
most
shit out of the
popular
top of your
people
head,
that
man.
I know. Yeah, they're the most popular people that I know.
Well, whatever, man. Whatever floats your boat.
I'm improving upon the formula right now.
I'm watching. I'm investigating all of it. Anyways, as we were talking about before, so that's what you had going on. That's what the things you were talking about. So I think I still have about 2/3 of a Heineken left. I have a couple of different things that are still available on my list of things to talk about. Did you want to go down one of those, or did you just want to scat about something else?
I'm gonna go off the top. We're gonna make this happen.
All right,
So it
I'll
turns
keep those for next week.
so it turns out. Actually, I was thinking yesterday, and this comes across very poorly. Actually, what am I putting? What am I putting on you? Fillers.
I don't know. You completely just ruined my fillers. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have it. I just need to extend the desk because it wasn't symmetrical. I think the more we drink, the more we see the symmetry of this room.
Oh, okay.
Um,
You mean the symmetry? If you want
the
to get that way, then
symmetry.
this is actually needs to be a little bit farther.
No.
This
No.
doesn't line up.
Wait.
If we're gonna have two,
Oh, I guess it can be here and
if you're gonna,
here
all right, then we gotta do this,
and here.
and then it'll be symmetrical.
What are you doing? Oh, yeah. I thought you were gonna replace something else. I was actually thinking, you know, the concept of furries.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sadly,
explain
yes.
to me what explain to me what you know of furries.
They're essentially very depraved and fucked up people that like to go and dress up in animal costumes, usually wolves, that go around and they dress up as them, but generally they use it for like sexual escapades, having sex with each other in the furry costumes.
Right.
Kind of like the whole idea of like the glory hole, but with actual costumes of like wolves and shit like that. So they're like
Yes.
they're walking glory holes of fucking wolves and shit like that.
I mean, you have a tainted description of them, but basically it's people who have a fetish for people who are dressed up as animals.
Right.
And then they have sex dressed as animals. The
No, they have like furry parties and shit like that, where people will
Yeah.
go and they'll like everyone who's a furry show up to this location, and it's like pants off, furry off, where it's like or they'll have like furries on the tops and then nothing on the bottom, and people just fucking go to sex with each other and never actually see each other, and it's just like all the vapid, weird, crazy people of society just like getting together and doing fucking weird ass shit. If you're a furry and you don't like that comment, then fuck off. I don't give a shit.
I think there's a marginal furry audience that's listening and or watching.
And I still don't care. I still don't care. Your opinion doesn't matter to me if you go off into crazy, weird, wonky situations and you just fucking have sex with each other while wearing your furry costume. I mean, if you met as a furry, you're like, oh, I'm a furry enthusiast, and someone else is a furry enthusiast, and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm a skinny white dude, and you're a big, huge, giant, fat, white chick. Let's fucking get it on. And you fucking bang it out while, underneath some cover somewhere in some very cheap ass motel room. That's completely your thing. Go for it.
is
I
a
have
is a
no problem with
furry's
that.
pickup line, "Hey, do you furry?"
Um, possibly. Like, what do you think would it be? Like, if they went to a bar and they saw each other and they're like, you know what? That's not an attractive chick. She might be a furry.
Yeah.
how,
Or
how do you how do
are you
you
a
make
wolf
that
person?
transition? Yeah.
Do you like dressing up as animal? I mean, the I try to keep my pickup lines very far away from "Do you like to dress up as?" questions.
Hmm.
I feel like you're abusing my signs up front.
I'm trying to edit them. I'm trying to write some
That's
shit.
fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Was it right click, or do I have to do it when I?
You have to beat it up. you have to kill it, and then you'll get a sign, and then you'll place it again.
Oh,
And then you'll have to type the thing. But also, then who? Okay, obviously they don't like. They wouldn't want to get with somebody that wasn't into their fetish. But how do you pick up on somebody that is that? And would you then picture? Would you then be like, oh man, that girl is hot. She would look so good as a chipmunk.
yeah. I want her to make my wolf babies. Some shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, oh wow. If she put on a raccoon tail, she would be my fucking future wife.
Well, it's sort of like one of those things where if you went and you found a girl who loved dressing up in lingerie and as well as at the same time, played video games and loved going to movies, you'd be like, all right, marry me right now. One of those types of things. Whereas to
Okay.
them, that's like the epitome of exactly what they're looking for.
But they almost exclusively date people that don't at least immediately give the impression that they would like to dress up as animals and have sex, right?
But it's so fucking weird, man. I mean, those are generally the types of people who have problems just talking and meeting people to begin with. But I guess that there's a big enough calling for it where do you think that people like that get drawn into furries because they go, other people are weird and fucked up like me, and so therefore I can find a community of them? If I dress up as a furry, the most likely someone else that dresses up like a furry has my same inhibitions and craziness going on.
If I wanted to get into that, where would I find a colony of these people? I need to make this happen.
Probably furrypeople.com or some shit like that.
Furry
I
people.
wouldn't be surprised if there's like a domain for it, as well as a forum for it, as well as like tons of weird stuff that you could just sit around and talk about.
I wouldn't be
Sadly
surprised
enough.
either. But you have to initiate it. I would imagine.
Leo, are you using this as a form as a way to find out how to get into the furry community or what?
No, no.
No. How would you figure that on out? How dare you, sir? How dare you go to that extreme? I have no interest whatsoever in becoming one of the furry community. They have
Yeah,
nothing to
go.
offer me.
Yeah, go to. But if you are, email me at leo@3destinos.com. Is that my email address?
It is. I don't think you've actually signed into it though.
Do it.
I created it for you.
By
I
the
don't know
time
what.
that I log into it, I need to see at least 4 or 5 options as far as animals.
Uh,
And then if you end up, say you found your match, right? And that's always the thing. Like you always want to find that person that's right for you. Say you found that person. Now, that person always likes to dress up like a lion or a lioness, if you will. Um, would you see like someone dressed up as a bear, and you'd be like, well, "That's what I'm talking about."
well, the thing is that if you went and got together with them and they ended up having an evening, like let's say you wanted to mix it up and be seductive, would
hmm
mix it up and be seductive be like dressing up like normal people or what?
If you were
Like you want to
a
role play?
lion and you were dating a tiger, if you came across a cat, would you stray?
Probably because that's what you're attracted to. I don't know. I think that people with those types of things, where those types of interests, are probably not the most loyal people to begin with. You know, they have other issues going on. Whereas fidelity is probably not very high on their list. Or maybe because they found that person, they might be. I think it's either one of the extremes, where they're either the like most loyal person in the world, or not loyal in any way, shape, or form.